Hi, welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha. How is your child handling the pressures and stress? Today, our podcast is going to be including some parents and the voices of some of my students and what they are learning as far as an environment that may be stressful for them. Parents, this is a raw interview, and parents are sharing their observations and the growth of their children, and also they're sharing how the school that their children are going to supports their values and how their school is helping their children deal with working in groups, handling different pressures in the elementary, middle school environment. We don't have all the answers. We have lots of questions. And so I hope you enjoy this format. It's a little different. And so here we go. Let's get started. So I have one question. Does anyone have this parenting thing down pat? I mean, when our children in our lives are small, babies, those bright eyes, the bundle of joy, just stares back at you. And, you wonder, I'll speak for myself, I wonder, do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes to be the best parent that I can be for this little baby or babies? And you read all the magazines, you take all the parenting classes, you listen to wise people who have gone before you, and they pass on information. And as the children get older, you realize speech develops, independent minds develop. And this little baby is an individual. This baby is unique. This baby is coming forth with its gifts. And I think most parents want to make sure that their children have the best that you can provide them with in shelter and education, nurturing, and food, nutrition, and still there's something that we have to pull from somewhere to help this future generation survive. Does anyone have the cheat sheet? I think many people have many different theories and solutions and suggestions. And maybe there's not one fixed cheat sheet, one fixed suggestion. Depending on different values and religion, beliefs, and cultural upbringings. I mean, it's so complicated. And then stir into the mix the advancement of technology and the stressors. 1 minute can be totally calm, and the next minute could be total chaos. Does anyone have a cheat sheet for parenting? Today, I would like to bring to you not a cheat sheet. I'd like to bring to you conversations of dreams and hopes and expectations and the heart of a process of parenting. No, I don't have any answers. I don't have any suggestions. I feel like I'm in the boat with everybody else. And I think one thing that is so important, of course, for me as a nurse, as a mindfulness facilitator, is to stay calm, to stay flexible, and realize things do change whether we're ready for it or not. In a research article that I've read, and I'd like to share it with you, and it's particularly geared towards children and adults that has ADHD. The importance of keeping a schedule. That might seem kind of small, or some kind of routine. Research indicates that having a schedule or a routine helps us mentally, emotionally, and physically to keep going. And particularly being a mom of a child with ADHD, I really understand how important having a schedule and a routine is throughout our day and our weeks and our months. On the other hand, if life was full of routines, it'd be easy. But as we know, life happens, and sometimes our routine is interrupted. And I think the importance of teaching our children and as adults that life is full of change and transition. When we can include life is full of change and transition into our schedule, I think it makes us to become a little bit more balanced in how we respond to different situations. A few weeks ago, for example, I'll tell you a little story. I was taking my son to school on our normal routine route. It was dark and the roads were slippery because it was raining. It wasn't raining a little bit, it was coming down really hard. One of those rains where you can you have to adjust your windshield to fast. That's how fast it was raining, how heavy it was. Before I could think of, I wonder how, we're going to get to school without running into a flooded area, an accident happened right in front of us, about a couple of cars in front of us. And I immediately thought, uh-oh, this is going to be a change. How is my son going to respond to this? And I was very proud. My son was very calm. And despite a little bit of a delay, we were able to get through that accident zone. And thank goodness no one was injured. The cars were totaled, but the people were okay. And so at that time, everyone shows their stress differently. My son tends to ask the same questions and replay the situation. And it's important it's okay to answer those questions, to replay the information. And I also let his teachers know that, our day started off a little bit different today. And I think that was very helpful, because if he was off a little bit at school, at least they would have an understanding of what went on. And so, with that story, I just think that including a conversation and maybe including some situations where we change the schedule a little bit, but not just like all of a sudden and sporadically, but to let our children know, okay, today we're going to do something different. Okay, hi everyone. This is me, Eartha, and I'm with a lot of parents at this location. And so we're having a little impromptu discussion about changing and transitioning with children, since one of the things that I do is I do teach children in transition awareness breathing. So I'm asking some of the parents, and their children are in grades, I'll just put range from kinder to maybe eighth grade, so I'll just put it like that. How are they finding their children dealing with stress, working in groups, handling different transitions? So I'm going to turn the camera around, and some of the parents are going to share. So I know that your son has been at ECLA for a very long time. What grade is he in?
He's in 4th grade now.
Okay, 4th grade, very long time. So I was wondering, what changes have you seen since your son, when he entered the school? How's he handling with stress, working in groups, communicating, problem solving?
Right, yeah, kindergarten, hot mess, right? So kindergarten for us was all about learning how to get to your cubby and not bump into people and not go to the office, not blurt things out, because he likes to talk a lot.
Yeah.
And I've seen year over year an improvement in that because of the things that the school is doing to help grow that skill set for him. So,
and what does going to the office mean? I mean, that must be a great thing, going to the office.
Yeah, no, going to the office is a punishment because I remember in kindergarten, and there was a fire truck that came to the school that they get to go see, and my son could not control his talking out of turn and his hands touching other people, and he sat in the office that whole day, and he got to see his class go out to see the firemen through the window. And he didn't get to go out there, and he still remembers that. So his goal is to not go to the office, unless it's for a Band-Aid or not being sent to the office. And so this year he's very, very proud. He's in 4th grade, and he hasn't gone to the office once, and he doesn't want to break his streak.
Oh, okay. And so as he's preparing for 5th grade, what kind of problem-solving skills, communication skills is highlighting him now?
I'm seeing where they're starting to make them do projects together, or complete a small assignment together with a buddy, and they're still learning how to work that out. He came home and said the girl he was paired with did the whole thing, but then they didn't get a good grade, so he blamed it on her. But my son likes to make excuses, so he could have done his half. But they're starting to develop that, and so for a 9-year-old, that's a really nice concept to digest. So hopefully by next year, he'll be it'll be easier, and by middle school and high school, he'll be prepared to do a group project and know how to lead it. So they're not just teaching them the skills; they're making leaders out of these children.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna talk to some other parents.
Thanks, Eartha.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Yeah. See you later.
Okay. What about the negative influences? The fear, the hurt, the unfairness, the pain that is being experienced all over the world. How do we explain that? How do we react to that? How how do we pull anything positive from that? Well, I don't know. I do know that with compassion that I can listen, and with kindness I can spread. The judgment is not going to help anything or anyone at any time. I can show strength in standing up and speaking out for what is positive and what is that stands for the sustaining life and freedom. And so that's a place where we can start. Okay.
Okay. So I have a third grader at ECLA. She's a young third grader, and we actually moved from out of state at the beginning of the school year. So she's had to do a lot of transitioning, making new friends, adjusting to a new house and new routines. And what I found is that although she's 7, from the beginning of the school year to now, she is handling it much better. She used to forget a lot of her homework and be very anxious and worried about that. She's also very anxious and worried about making new friends in a new state. And now I hear at least 2 or 3 names on rotation constantly. So she is coming out of her shell and making new friends. And so I think that support group of the new friends is helping her with the transition.
Okay. And so she's getting her a friend network. Yes. And so how is she handling pressures? I mean, like for a third grader, I mean, pressures are different from a grown-up perspective. But you know, I know that sometimes there's homework stress or there's friendship stress. Sometimes we have a best friend here, and now we're not best friends. So how is that?
How's she handling it? Because now that she has more than one friend, when that friend drama pops up, we encourage her to talk to the other friends and spend more time with them. And eventually they all come back around together. The drama doesn't last very long. So she's doing a lot better. She still breaks out in tears when someone doesn't want to play with her, but we find that happening less and less frequently. So,
you said something that triggered a mind. So when we're going through stress, especially when we dealing with relationships and things like that, that it does pass. That we work through, and we maybe find something different to work on, and then eventually, as we let things pass, we're not running away from the stress,
right,
but we're kind of giving it a rest, and then come back to it, and eventually
it passes.
It passes.
I call it the tincture of time. If you give it enough time and you kind of focus on other things, and you don't, catastrophize about that one thing, it will pass. And then you can look back and say, oh wow, I really reacted strongly to that, and now I don't feel as strongly, and maybe see it from a different perspective.
It kind of compare. So you're always learning from those experiences.
Exactly. And I find that some of the things that trigger her aren't triggering her anymore. It used to be if someone didn't speak to her. Now that doesn't bother her. Now it's more like they didn't play with me, or I really wanted this from them, or wanted to have this conversation. That didn't happen. But she's not making stories up about why someone didn't speak to her anymore. So I've noticed that growth, that maturity.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And so what do I mean by whether we're ready for it or not? Does anybody notice the world is changing? And I think we've have to realize that as an awareness skill, to be aware that what's changing and what is influencing my decisions as parent, as an individual. If we spend a lot of time on social media, how is that coming across to my children, to my environment, to my family? Am I making decisions based on what's popular? You know, is it based on what has the most likes? Am I pulling from something that is proven? I don't have the answers. I just got a lot of questions. But I think it's okay to ask questions. And I certainly think it is the best thing. The best thing to do is to talk and get our words out, our words of stress, our words of frustration, and to let our children know how we feel and how we're processing. Oh, maybe, we should not tell children everything because we want to guard them. This is just my opinion. I think children are getting opinions, whether we like it or not, from an external source. And I think it's important for them to understand what we do in our family and what our grounded force is. And so whoever you hear or whatever you see from other sources, we use that as a learning opportunity to teach our children coping skills and values that will last them a lifetime and through their generations. Does that make sense? I'm still looking for that manual, that cheat sheet, which I don't think I'm going to find because I think this is a work in process. But I will like to share with you some research, some information that is like the root of a tree. Roots of trees are very firm in the ground. And whether we like the type of tree that's growing or not, that tree is right there. And so we can use it, and it's like I'm using this tree for shade and appreciating the nature that is around this tree. We can certainly read and learn different information that could be helpful for us as we grow our parenting branches and spread our words so that our words can help not only our children, but other children of wherever, we're at. We're in school or work, or maybe we're involved with different sports teams and things like that. So, just because you may be a parent or a guardian of your children, you're being watched by other children. Hi, Val. I'm Bertha, and so we were talking. I might have to talk a little loud because we have a little noise. Okay. So we were talking about our children and in the school that they're going to right now. And you said some really great information about how ECLA prepares our children for high school. And you had a niece that went to ECLA, and some points about how the curriculum is set up. Do you want to share something?
Sure. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think ECLA, their staff, the teachers, the administrators are very intentional about creating a curriculum and creating a space for kids to grow socially and emotionally. And I think that the reason why I've seen such growth in my niece and my nephew and my kids at ECLA is because there are, the kids have boundaries. They have very consistent rules throughout the entire school. I feel like that type of regimen, that type of consistency for kids is super important. I think that helps them emotionally and socially. They learn at a very young age that the importance of homework and the importance of ethics and the importance of working together. And I think because it's an entire school code of conduct, because everybody does it beginning to end, kinder through 8th grade, when the kids transition from ECLA to another school to high school, I think it's a much easier transition for them because it is now in their muscle memory that they know that these are the things they have to do to be successful: homework and ethics and communication and teamwork. And I think that ECLA is very intentional in doing that every single grade, every single day for every single kid, and that's why they're successful.
So I'm going to throw a cricket path in there,
Sure.
because people look at us and will say some crazy thing. Not crazy, but what about the creativity? I mean, doesn't structure, hamper creativity and free thinking? I mean, are the children being forced to live in a school environment where they are not, really expressing themselves? What do you think about those kinds of stuff?
I think there always has to be a balance, and I think, again, ECLA provides that for kids. I mean, think about the work that comes home, the art that comes home, the music that they come home singing, the language that they're learning. I think there's obviously a balance. They're not in a prison. I don't feel that way for my kids. I feel like they have room to express themselves, to feel, to speak, to create, and within that structure there is structure. And so but I think that's important for kids when they're learning, is to have structure in their lives, and I don't think that structure hampers creativity. I think it's a really good thing for kids. I think it's something important for them to grow, and I think that both intertwined, because I come from an art background, I think both intertwined are really important, especially as kids are developing lower grades into their upper grades. And I think that ECLA provides all of those things.
I think you said something when you mentioned the music and the art is so important for creative growth.
Absolutely.
And for the growth of relationships and relating to themselves. And one thing I don't know what you think, but the school really encourages children to speak for themselves.
Yeah, what can I say? They're helping the kids grow into great humans, and I think they do that by encouraging them to be independent within a structured, environment, which I think is important. I think that sometimes when we give too much, or if we give away too much, if we hold on too tight, both of those scenarios are not healthy for kids, and I think they found a really great balance in both. And I think art and like liberal arts and the things that they encourage at ECLA are really important for kids, and I see my kids incredibly happy, and they're becoming very independent, and I think that's going to make them great humans.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, parents. And now, as we wrap up our session today, here are some of my students from Transition Awareness Breathing sharing what they have learned in our last session. I am so proud of them.
Okay. What did we review? What did we do last time?
We reviewed our breath.
We reviewed the breath.
We were singing the Na 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 song.
Okay, so we sang the...
And we were trying to put things together. And we all had fun last week, and it was really fun.
Okay, and so you had fun. What else did we do?
We were uncomfortable with the person that we worked with.
Beautiful! I love it! We worked in groups and we were uncomfortable with the person we worked with. What did else we do?
We worked with some stuff that was hard for some people and some stuff that was just easier for some people.
And how did we figure, what did we learn from working with hard stuff and with easy stuff?
We work together and we can make it happen.
We work together.
We learn new stuff.
We learn new stuff.
And we made sure to be comfortable with the people we're with.
Oh, I can just fall on the floor and fall out. Hold on, I gotta fall on the floor and fall out. Oh, wait a minute, before I fall out. Go ahead.
And we made mistakes and fixed them.
High five! I'm so